Street News is here to provide accurate news to help citizens affect change in their local government and beyond. Being nice is overrated. It is time to be real. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. The time to step up and step in is now. So please come join me, Katie, over on Main Street News to discuss Ohio politics and beyond. I hope to see you there. Hello, and welcome to Main Street News. Main Street News is here to provide accurate news to help citizens affect change in their local government and beyond. Being nice is overrated. It is time to be real. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. The time to step up and step in is now. So please come join me, Katie, over on Main Street News to discuss Ohio politics and beyond. I hope to see you there. Hello, and welcome to Main Street News. Main Street News is here to provide accurate news to help citizens affect change in their local government and beyond. Being nice is overrated. It is time to be real. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. The time to step up and step in is now. So please come join me, Katie, over on Main Street News to discuss Ohio politics and beyond. I hope to see you there. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for everyone who is joining me this morning on Main Street News. We're going to really quick just play you a video. Today we're going to be discussing the Ohio 4. The second rally was a little over a week ago, and I wanted to show you all how that rally went and what everybody had to say, as well as go over some testimony today that I think that you all need to see. We're going to start with just a short video, just a news coverage of this case, and I'm going to shut up for a second.
A chance at a second chance.
I think that this county prosecutor realized that something really wrong was going on here.
4 men still fighting for their freedom after spending decades behind bars for a murder they say they did not commit.
Now they had the backing of the office that put them there.
We are just super grateful that someone finally listened.
The Lorain County prosecutor teaming up with the attorneys for those 4 men to ask for a new trial to dismiss charges in that 1991 murder case.
News 5's Catherine Ross following through tonight, explaining the evidence they say points to the men's innocence and why they're getting support from around the country.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
The calls for action are intensifying.
No justice! No peace!
More than 3 decades after what some say was a miscarriage of justice.
I want this behind. I want it behind for the people of Lorain County. I don't need to keep going through this. 30 years now.
Free Ohio! 4! Free Ohio! 4!
Alfred Cleveland and Lenny Edwards are flanked by supporters Wednesday.
This is a case that you should be talking about, nothing else.
Both men have served lengthy sentences for a 1991 murder.
I got out in 2020, and I'm still trying to, I guess, integrate.
2 others, John Edwards and Benson Davis, are still incarcerated for their convictions in the case. What have become known as the Ohio 4 were convicted of the murder of Marsha Blakely. They were also suspected in the murder of her roommate Floyd Epps. At the time, prosecutors built a case based on a witness account saying Blakely was tortured and killed because she owed the 4 men money for drugs.
These men had nothing to do with this crime, that their convictions should be vacated immediately, and that the charges against them should be dismissed.
Attorneys for the Ohio 4, along with the Lorain County prosecutor, say the key witness in that 1991 murder case knowingly gave false testimony, and many of his claims have since been debunked. Prosecutor J.D. Tomlinson recently filed a motion with defense counsel for a new trial for the men. All of the attorneys and several advocacy groups point to inconsistencies between the physical evidence and the witness's story. Court documents say that witness accepted money for coming forward and demanded more money to testify. And the man has since signed an affidavit saying he lied about witnessing the murder at all.
You can never hang your case on such a witness and information that they had.
The Ohio Four and their supporters say all that should be enough to raise serious doubt.
They should not spend another day in prison if they should not be there.
A county judge will decide whether to grant a new trial, where the prosecutor says he'd move to dismiss all charges. The men involved say they just want their names cleared so they can move on.
For so many years, I had this label, and it just, so I'm hoping that we can get it taken care of.
In Lorain County, Catherine Ross, News 5.
So we've discussed previously the Ohio 4 case. I covered the first rally, and I'm going to cover the second. Now, in this episode, I don't have the full 33 minutes to show you everybody's statement, but I do want to focus on the 4 and people that have that I've seen throughout this thing. Also, it got a little political there at the end, and honestly, I'll address that at the end of the episode. I don't think this person who made the statements were associated with the Ohio 4. I think he was just a supporter that came that day. But I really didn't like it, and I didn't like the actions of somebody else that spoke, and actions, the response to what this guy said. I think it was a little bit of effery, to be quite honest with you. So I started this case because it was bipartisan. It wasn't really political. The second you make it political, you know what I mean? I'm going to work on it in the background, but today will be the last day that I'll be covering the Ohio 4. That does not mean I did not make a website, a page on my site dedicated to the 4. Does not mean I haven't spent probably 7-8 hours, just reading thousands, probably by now thousands of pages of testimony. I mean, John Edwards alone was 700 pages, all of his stuff from 98. So, but we'll be going over that today. What we're going to start with today, and I didn't pull it up because I'm a genius, is we are going to start with the Perlmutter Center for Legal Services. It's Derek Hamilton. He spoke in the beginning, and the first video that we are going to watch about the rally is him. Once I pull this up, because why would I do it beforehand? I'm sorry I wasn't on about a week ago. I had other stuff going on. I'm not going to say it was more important, but in my list of priorities, it kind of was to me, just because it was something I've been working on, and I'm going to share with you real quick before we get into this. I just want to pull this video up first. I don't want it to start. Of course it's starting. All right. So the last week I've been working on a couple things. For one, getting documents from a bunch of different agencies about the Tomlinson case. And then I've also been advocating for my bill HB 8, which is Parents' Bill of Rights and Education. It actually passed the Senate. It's on its way to DeWine's office. I'm crossing my fingers that he signs that into law. That all started because of my local school district and some stuff they did, and we'll be covering that on another episode. But I'm really excited that bill got passed. It's a great bill. It's really simple. It's just really, your school needs to enact a policy stating that parents have the, authority over their children, and 2, that their social, emotional, and physical well-being needs to be communicated to the parent by the school. And if not, the parent has some kind of, recourse to address the board, address the superintendent who won't meet with you. I mean, my superintendent board pretty much told me they're not going to meet with me, and pretty much told me, they're worried about the stakeholders in the community, which, no one is a stakeholder over my child except me. That's the family. That's my true belief. I get the community is looking for people to, grow up and be a part of this society, but I don't like the word stakeholder being used in education, period. But anyways, back to the Ohio 4. So like they said in the news article, this whole case was put up, one witness testimony who recanted, by the way, his testimony. When he did recant his testimony, he was threatened to be thrown in jail for recanting that testimony. He was a drug addict. Shaky on that is for one, they got paid, I think it was like $5,000 in total for their testimony because, they'd relocate this, that, whatever excuse there was. He told people in the jail that it wasn't true. People that, knew about actually the case and saw Marsha that night said, what he said wasn't true. We can point the fingers. We can play the blame game. I don't really think that does much for anybody. My goal in this is that you reach out to the judges. Judge Ewers has 2 cases. Judge James Moraldi has 1 case, and Roth Gary has Al Cleveland's case. And I think Ewers has Benson, don't quote me on this, Benson and Lenworth Edwards. And then I believe Moraldi is John Edwards. I'm not positive though, so I won't shake you on that. But I want you to write to them. I want you to call their offices, especially Roth Gary, because he's already denied. I don't know exactly what he denied, but I think hearing the case. And I know JD wrote him, I think 5 days ago, saying, will you please reconsider? That's Al Cleveland's case, exonerate to exonerate him, or basically try a new trial that would be dismissed eventually. The prosecutor's on his way out. He didn't have the last year to really, bring attention to this case because of the political mudslinging and him being accused of felony crimes himself by his political opponents. Those charges were dismissed. He's innocent. That's another case that we have been going over here and that I'm going to finish up after Christmas. I have a huge timeline for you. I have a huge book for you, evidence, but he wasn't able to focus on this, even though he addressed it in 2022. And when all the Battistelli stuff came out, how was he going to even address this? He would have been, accused of more nonsense. And the second all of that was dismissed, he brought this back up. He got this in front of, he filed with the court. Then he's working with their attorneys, working together, because I think he sees what I see as complete innocence. Now, we're going to play Clue today. I have a little bit of a theory on some characters who could have done it, just based on the testimony that I have read, which is a lot. I think I know more about this case than probably the people that prosecuted it. Not the people that lived it, but people that prosecuted it, not their defense attorneys. I guarantee they know a lot more. But I feel very confident in saying that these men are innocent. Now, are they innocent of all crimes? No, but Marsha Blakely killing, yeah. Did they come into Lorain County to do other illicit activities? Yeah, but do I think we judge people off that? No. If you didn't murder somebody, you didn't murder somebody. And from, just people that I've talked to, is that's kind of like the MO for some of these people is, especially the older guy that prosecuted this case was like, one bad guy is bad guy, bad guy is bad guy. Well, that's not true. I mean, you're a bad guy that is selling drugs or a bad guy that is killing somebody. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, which way are you going to go there? So let's start with the Perlmutter Center for Legal Justice, Derek Hamilton, and see what he had to say on about a week ago for the second rally for the Ohio 4. Make sure I share my audio because I always do that and then I'm all mad.
With the lawyers and J.D. Thomason, we found a joint motion to vacate the conviction and dismiss the indictment for 4 men who are innocent and have served decades in prisons for crimes they did not commit. You're going to hear from people who were directly affected and impacted by the criminal justice system in their own personal lives that stand here to say enough is enough. We put Elaria County on notice, and we will continue to come back to make sure that these young men, or older men now, get justice for crimes they didn't commit. We're asking that the judges who have the motions before them take a look at them, look at the evidence like J.D. Thomason have done, and all the lawyers have done, and come to a conclusion. It is an insult to us, Black Americans, African Americans, to stand here and hear prosecutors who are coming in attack a band who have stood on justice principles. Around the country, prosecutors are creating units because unjust decisions have been made to Black men in the United States of America.
That's right. Speak truth. Speak truth.
We need this county not only to support J.D. Thomason, but to get a unit in place. Look at all the evictions. Release all the individuals that's in prison. It didn't just happen to these young men. It happened to many others.
That's right.
We stand here today and say, Silo and others, we'll be back when you get in office and don't do justice. We'll be back and back and back again till we get these type of units in place. We're not here to disrupt, we're here to support a just decision that was made. A very just decision that was made. Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
And that's our message. What do we want?
And he's pretty much straight to the point, you know, and I love that the fact that they want to bring a wrongful conviction unit because, you know, the more I look at this case, the more I think of like, who else has this happened to? And that terrifies me. I mean, it absolutely terrifies me because, you know, the handling of this case, and it's easy to blame one person, but it is the system as the whole. It's not just, you know, an investigator, and it's not just the prosecutor, but it's the whole system here in Lorain County, and it's 30 years. And I'm not saying every case they tried was corrupt or anything like that, but I know it's 30 years of systemic corruption here in Lorain County where, you know, people have been railroaded, people just thrown under the bus. It's like the good old boys club. And Mr. Anthony Sillo, who's coming back as prosecutor, needs to have the pressure on him. Attorney General David Yost also needs to have the pressure on him because he's decided to get involved in this case, which makes me kind of question him because, you know, he doesn't get involved in a corrupt contract. He doesn't get involved in blatant, you know, bid rigging, blatant corrupt activity. No, he adds on to it here in the county. And, you know, Mr. Yost running for governor, I don't think that is going to be good for you because I am not one to forget. And believe me, whoever's running against him, I would get a hold of me. So, yeah, not supporting that one right now. Very, very upset with him. But over a few cases here in Lorain County. And Tony Sillo worked for the Ohio Attorney General. He also, his wife works there. He also is friends with Dennis Wills, who's the former prosecutor before J.D. Tomlinson, and Jonathan Rosenbaum. And he currently, well, before he was prosecutor, worked with the sheriff's office, who's been going after our county prosecutor over some garbage because he wouldn't play their game to go after 2 other elected officials. It all goes back to my radio contract, not this case specifically, but the games that have been played in here in the county. And I'm going to get to the bottom of it. And it's going to be handled. It might not be today. It might not be tomorrow. It might take a little bit, but it will be. The next person speaking at this rally is the executive director for family and friends of the wrongfully convicted, I believe it's Kenny Smith is his name. We're going to play that. If it loads. My computer doesn't hate me. Come on. Oh, where'd you go? It hates me right now. It's going to load up 5 of them too. Watch. because I clicked it so many times. My husband always tells me to quit clicking it. Oh, I hate this thing. Come on.
Executive directors of Family 4 and the attorneys, we asking for justice. What do we want?
Justice! When do we want it?
Now!
My name is Kevin Rennie Smith, KEVINRENNY SMITH. As Derek stated, I am the convicted in prison. I served 27 years in prison for a crime I did not commit. Today we are here to stand in support of the motion filed by the defense attorneys and the current DA. Did not allow inclement weather to stop us from coming to Ohio. If this is not away from their family, remove them from their community, and put them in prison for a crime they did not commit, that's the worstest harm that you can do.
That's right.
More so, perpetrator to remain in society, as the statistic shows, only to commit more crime. That's a public safety issue, and this needs to be addressed, and this will be corrected today or you to come back.
Now we're going to be hearing from Alfred Cleveland. He is Ohio 4 is currently on parole. He's looking exonerated. We're going to be hearing from Lenworth Edwards. He was also convicted, served 29 years in prison. Alfred Cleveland, I believe, was 27 years. If I'm wrong, don't shoot me. It's off the top of my head. Served 27 years in prison. Benson Davis and John Edwards, known as Shaquem, they are both still in prison. I believe Shaquem is up for parole. I'm probably flipping these. 2026, and Benson Davis is 2028. Motion on the child is due. It's to file a new case, and then he would dismiss the charges against them and exonerate them. And like I said, the biggest thing today is to get across to all of you is to get in contact with Maraldi, Rothgary, and Ewers and pressure them as taxpayers. We want them to do the right thing in this case. We do not want the prosecutor coming in to railroad this because his friends were a part of this case, and for some nostalgic purpose and their legacy, ruin their name or something. We need justice here. This is just the beginning here in Lorraine County, I feel like, but we need something here, and we're gonna keep the pressure on. And the next video is going to be Alfred Cleveland, Lenworth Edwards, their attorneys, Kimberly Kendall Correll, who is Lenworth Edwards' attorney, and Joanna Sanchez, which is, sorry, I'm reading, so I'm not looking at you, is part of the wrongful conviction project with the state, I think the state prosecutor or something, but you'll hear. They're all it's about 6 minutes they're gonna speak, and then I'm just gonna make some comments, and then we have one more after that, and real quick, and we are going to then get into some of this testimony I want you guys to see, because I just was like flabbergasted.
Come on up. Come on with whether you're representative or not. Come on up. Lawyer, come on up.
Come on up, please.
All the attorneys, come on up. Wife, come on up. Don't hide back there. Come on up.
My name is Al Cleveland, Alfred Cleveland, ALFRED, CLEVELAND, one of the Ohio 4. Served 26 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit, nothing to do with. Not quite sure how we got here, how we were picked out and all that stuff. I got 17 grandkids, 5 kids, and I just want to move on with my life.
That's right.
And put this past us
right.
and our families, the victims' families, putting them through this. I lost my sister when I was young. I know how it is to get put through this. I'm sorry to the families for having to keep enduring this, but this is an injustice. This is something that we did not do. And the people are running around in this community still committing crime.
That's right.
And it's sad. And if I had the strength, I would buy a tent and park out here and live out here until those guys come home.
That's right.
That's right. I'm being that tent with you, brother.
I got
right.
a family
Being
to
that
take
tent
care of,
together.
though. Just please do the right thing. That's all. It's
right.
simple. Put it past. Let's go. Put it past. This is a grave injustice. Put it past and let those 2 guys go. There's 2 guys still in there. Benson Davis, John Edwards, for crimes they didn't commit. Just imagine how that would feel. They're in there for crimes they didn't commit, and it should be over with. It's time to put that to rest.
Put it to rest.
It's time. And let's
Right.
move on. All right, Lenny. Next up, Lenny Edwards. Lenny Edwards. I did 29 years and 4 months for a crime I had absolutely nothing to do with. I went in prison at 18, came out at 48. It's hard to even talk about what I went through.
Take your time, bro.
You just can't explain it. We just hope that, right now, there's been a lot of people put a lot of work in on this case, and I'm hoping that, justice comes now. I mean, it's late, but we just hope that, and it's happening too much. It happens too much, and nothing ever changed in the system. It's a bunch of guys out here did time for stuff they didn't do, and some people lucky to get out, some people lucky to get compensated, but the system's still doing the same thing
over and over.
Nobody is ever, anything else happened. It's investigations,
no accountability.
It's no accountability, and we hope that now that people see this, it's serious. It's basically we was kidnapped and held hostage.
Kidnapped. That's right.
And there's no other way to put it. There's no other way to put it. We just kidnapped, held hostage, and
Falsely convicted.
in the middle of, I don't know if it's a political game or what, but we hope that now, people see it and know, it's out there. There's websites you can look at and just look at the case for yourself, and just somebody hear this and that can make some decisions and end this for us.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want it?
Now.
Want to call attorneys up for the Ohio 4. Please, attorneys, step up this here.
Hi, my name is Joanna Sanchez. That's JoannaSanchez. I'm director of the Wrongful Conviction Project at the Ohio Public Defender's Office, and I represent Benson Davis, who's one of the Ohio 4. We are surrounded today by men and women who have been wrongfully convicted, who have been through the injustice that the Ohio 4 continue to endure today. And we know that this happens far too much in Ohio. We have over 100 men and women in Ohio who were sentenced to prison for crimes they did not commit and who received justice and they were exonerated. And these 4 men deserve that justice today. Benson Davis has sat in prison for 30 years for a crime that he did not commit.
Way too long.
John Edwards also sits in prison.
Way too long.
And you heard from Al Cleveland and Lenworth Edwards, and they're out, but they're still enduring the pain. They're still enduring the injustice. They haven't gotten that justice that they deserve. Dozens of attorneys have looked at this case, and along with Prosecutor Tomlinson, have come to recognize that this is a wrongful conviction, and we need to act now, because justice delayed is justice denied.
Right. Justice delayed is justice denied.
Kendallcorral. My firm represents Lenny Edwards, who is, you just heard from, served 29 and a half years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Together, these four men have served more than 126 years in prison. Wow. I was 8 years old when Lenny was incarcerated and nearing 40 when he got out. If you imagine the lifetime we have all lived, while these men spent caged for a horrendous and heinous crime which they had nothing to do with. It's not just that they lost their freedom, but they were given one of the worst labels you could put on another person, of being killers, and that's not who these men are. We know that the criminal justice system cannot correct itself in every case. By show of hands, how many people here are exonerees? Keep your hands up if you served time in prison for a crime you didn't commit. You can see there's hands all around. If it's more than 5 years, keep your hands up. More than 10 years, keep your hands up. More than 15 years, keep your hands up. More than 20. More than 25. More than 30. More than 35.
Right.
We still have hands up in the crowd.
40 years.
Come on this side.
40 years.
Come on this side.
40
Come on this
years.
side.
Someone 40 years, I mean, 30 years, 29 years. I mean, I'm 30, how old am I? I always forget how old I am. I'm 36. I'm 36, 37, one of the two. Anyways, I'm 36 years old. Lenworth Edwards, I would have been, my lifetime, 6 years old, my lifetime. He has spent my lifetime in prison. And same thing with Alfred Cleveland for a crime they didn't commit. And yeah, we talk about, the Ohio AG brings up Marsha Blakely and Marsha Blakely's family, which, by the way, I know some of. I'm from Lorain. I lived in Lorain. Well, not from Lorain, but I lived in Lorain as an adult for 15 years. I raised my kids in the Steel. My kids went to grade school for Admiral King from kindergarten until sixth grade. My oldest was in 8th grade at Longfellow. But, I if you're from Lorain, as much as people are like, mistaken like this, there's something about that city where it will forever be home. It will forever be a part of my home. And it will forever have my heart. I've met some of the best people there. But I do know some people that are related to Marsha Blakely's family that never believed that these New York guys did it. And what about Floyd Epps? Floyd Epps was her not roommate. She was staying with them. She was a drug addict, staying with them. And he was from what I hear, he was just like town drunk. He wasn't really into drugs, but he drank a lot. Both of them they're both found within a few miles of each other. Both had their throats slashed from left to right with 13 centimeters, cut the exact same way. And the coroner's actually the one that brought it up to the investigators that these deaths have to somehow be related. They were killed in the same manner. Now, what I said before, and this is before I really got into the case, is that Marsha Blakely's head was ran over. That's not, from what I'm not going to say it's not true. From what I have read in the autopsy reports and what I have read in the documents that I have read, my hypothesis is that she was not ran over. Now, Floyd Epps was. That mother trucker was dragged. I mean, just the brakes. It really doesn't make sense with Marsha Blakely because, she didn't have her. They said she was ran over, but she had a couple broken ribs and her collarbone wasn't broken. Her shoulder wasn't, it didn't make sense. There weren't tire marks on her according to the autopsy report. So there's just questions there. And you can see that on my website later. But, it's just, you want justice for these families. It's not only about these men serving, over 120 years in prison and their families and the lives that they've lost, because it's not just the men that go to prison. It's their families, it's their kids, it's their lives, but it's also her family, her son, Floyd Epps' family, even if he was, the town drinker and party or whatever, he deserves justice. His case is still open, by the way. Still open investigation. They were killed the same way, the same night, about around the same time. And they knew each other. They were living, she was staying with him on and off. So make it make sense. Now, the last video that I have of the rally, and like I said, I'm not going to play the entire thing. I didn't like some effery stuff that was going on towards the end of it. They made it political. They made it political on a federal level, let's just say, and I don't like that. I got involved in this because it really, as much as it is political, it wasn't political for me. It was very bipartisan. It has to do with Democrats out here, Republicans out here. It really has to do with my investigation into what happened with Tomlinson and in connection to my radios. I'm not going to confuse you guys, but this all has to do with that, and then a pattern of corrupt behavior by some of these people that have been involved in the radio thing and the going after Tomlinson thing in this case. And this case just got, when I started reading and started looking, I couldn't walk away. I couldn't walk away. So we're going to finish up these videos. I'm going to put the entire rally, all 33 minutes of it, on YouTube, so you can view it for yourself if you want to. You go on YouTube, you search up Mean Street News. I think it's Mean Street News 1. I think it's my username, but if you just Google Mean Street News, it's like the first one that not Google, but on YouTube search, it's like the first one that pops up, and I'll show you guys that here shortly. And I'll even put the link in this video description so you guys can see the entire rally if you want to. Give me 2 seconds. I'll just load this last video, number 4. Now in this video, we're going to hear from Kimberly Corral again, but we're also going to hear from a man named Jeffrey Desovic. He's with the Desovic Foundation for Justice. He was wrongfully convicted, ended up becoming an attorney, and now helps exonerate okay.
It's something we can't fathom, but it is something we can fix.
That's right.
What we're asking of the courts is what is reasonable and expected. It is what is recommended by the Ohio Supreme Court Task Force.
Right.
That prosecutors and defense counsel work together.
That's right.
It is what is recommended by the Ohio Prosecuting Attorneys Association.
That's right.
That prosecutors be able to look at cases and make determinations that when someone is wrongfully convicted, they can take action with defense counsel to give relief to the people who have been harmed.
That's right.
Marsha Blakely is the victim in this case. Her family deserves justice.
That's right. That's right.
The people of the county of Lorain have spent millions on this injustice, wrongfully incarcerating and protecting convictions known to be wrong, and they have an interest in justice.
That's right.
Recently, I read a quote from the Ohio Supreme Court. Justice just does not belong just to the accused, but to the accuser.
Right.
The accuser stands with us. The state stands with us. The elected prosecutor stands with us. His chief, his whole office stands with us. And they have asked this court to grant the unopposed motion. It's
right.
important to understand that not only the attorneys here, from some of the greatest organizations doing wrongful conviction in the country, the Pearl Meadows Center for Justice, the Ohio Innocence Project, the Wrongful Conviction Task Force. Not only have these attorneys deeply reviewed every aspect of this case, but the prosecutor's office in this county on behalf of the state has done the same. And that work has come to one conclusion, that these men had nothing to do with this crime, that their convictions should be vacated immediately, and that the charges against them should be dismissed. Those joint motions are on the desks of the judges who have the power to sign them, and we're asking that they do.
Right.
Give us a hearing and grant the motions. No one stands in opposition. No one stands in opposition, and the time to do the right thing is now.
Now. What do we want?
Justice!
What do we want?
Justice!
What do we want?
Now!
We want to invite invite up all his honorees to the front. I'm going to start out with Jeffrey Descovich. Say your name, spell it, please, and what organization you may be from when you come up. All his back up a little bit, honorees, come up. Who else is honoree? Stand around Jeffrey, y'all can go next. They got something to say if you want to speak. Honoree, step up to the front, please.
And spell your name.
My name is Jeffrey Descovich, Jeffrey Descovich. I'm an exoneree from New York. I'm with the Jeffrey Descovich Foundation for Justice, a nonprofit organization that I started after I was exonerated by DNA testing in New York. I started the organization with some of the compensation I received. I have a master's degree. My thesis is written on wrongful conviction cause and reform, and I became an attorney for the purpose of freeing other people. So we're standing here today, collaborating with the Perlmutter Center, in support of their effort on behalf of the Ohio 4. I'm here primarily to speak about the importance of having more conviction integrity units.
That's right.
So when you look at it nationally, in Dallas, when Craig Watkins was the DA, 40 people were exonerated. In Brooklyn, when Brooklyn District Attorney Ken Thompson was the DA, 23 people were exonerated in 2.5 years.
That's right.
In Philadelphia, DA Grasser, they have more than 20 people exonerated as a result of their unit. Those are not results you can obtain from the nonprofit world or from private law firms. Why? Because the district attorney's office is representing the government. They have access to the files. They have the resources. They can use the badge in the course of interviewing witnesses. So we need to have more of these units. We need them throughout the country. We need them here in Ohio to try to facilitate exonerating people that otherwise wouldn't see the light of day.
That's right.
Appellate courts are not good at catching and correcting wrongful convictions.
That's right.
That's why the average length of wrongful incarceration is 14 years by the time someone's exonerated. It's typical that their appeals have been exhausted. The courts are thinking about procedure. They're not thinking about guilt, innocence. They're thinking about how can we save a conviction? How can we save the time and the money that went into obtaining that result? Not whether or not that result is correct in that given case.
Speak true.
So therefore, we need to have more of these units. I applaud DA Tomlinson for, agreeing to the motion.
Yes.
The DA in my case agreed to the motion, so I know what it is to get my freedom back as a result of that cooperation. So, we need to get the courts to schedule this hearing. Let's get this done. And we need to have more units to correct wrongful convictions. Thank you.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want it?
Now.
That's one of the biggest things. Like, even if this case isn't heard before JD's gone and Tony gets in, Anthony Zillow needs to establish, or I hope JD establishes before he's gone in the next few weeks, a wrongful conviction unit here in Lorain County. Just a unit designated to looking at cases like this and working with outside agencies such as the Perlmutter Center, such as Ohio Innocence Project. This whole case was centered, and this is where we're going to get into actually the case itself and show you guys, instead of me yapping at you for about 30 minutes, we're going to take a look at actual testimony from some of these people. The first person we're going to start with is Avery Jr. himself. But before that, I want to show you, is it this one? Rosenbaum. John Rosenbaum was the prosecuting attorney on this case, and I want to show you guys, and I might have to do this with screen sharing because I'm not going to be able to read this. Am I going to be able to read this? No, you know what we're going to do? We're going to screen share. I think it's just going to end up being better just because I'll be able to. I should be able to read it. Okay. No, I have to go to the end. Give me 2 seconds, you guys, so be patient with me. Rosenbaum, Avery, plead the fifth in jail. I want you guys to first get a feel of who Rosenbaum is before I go into this. And you get it from during the 1998 case of Jonathan Edwards, the appeals, his attorney, one of the attorneys, I'm not going to say his for sure, questioned Rosenbaum on something, and Rosenbaum full-blown like threatened his law license, attacked him. Here we go. So Rosenbaum threatens. I'm gonna share my screen with you guys. We're gonna read it ourselves. I have to get rid of this. Hold on. Where is this? Okay. Screen share, entire screen, share my audio. This screen, audio shared, share. Okay. So I'm going to pull this up. So you can see this is from, just so you guys get a feel of who this guy is, Rosenbaum. He's the prosecutor, Jonathan Rosenbaum. He's prosecutor here in Lorraine County for, decades. I don't know the exact number, but decades. And after him, it was Dennis Wills, who's now working with the sheriffs, and that's a whole fucking thing. Anyways, so Mr. McNamee, this was April 9th of 98. The 9th District Appeals, John Edwards, full trial transcript is where I got it from. So it says, Judge, I had a problem yesterday after we dismissed the jury lunchtime about 12 noon. Myself, Mr. Duff, Gerald McKelrick, and Mr. Rosenbaum were still in the courtroom here. There was some discussion about the morning testimony. To make a long story short, eventually Mr. Rosenbaum got around to me and told me that he hates me and he hates everything about me and I'm an asshole. And then went on to say that he's going to get me someday. And I asked him, are you threatening me, John? He said, yeah, you're going to lose one of your licenses, your medical or law license for what you're doing in this room here. And there was a variety of things that went on like that for it must have been about a good 5 to 10 minutes. I don't know what my reading list is. 5 to 10 minutes. Those are at least some that occur to me right now. And shut up. I hate this thing. And the ones that are germane to this, what I do believe what Mr. Rosenbaum is trying to do is intimidate me, perhaps deprive my client of the benefit of counsel, and furthermore is threatening my professional career. And I do not want that. And I do want that on record. And whatever action you think would be indicated by that, I would appreciate it. The court, I've heard none of this. And I suggest, I'm glad you at least put it on the record. It's possible that it could be prosecutorial misconduct that could lead. The next one. Okay, come on. Oh, come on. Did I not do that? I'm an idiot. Come on. I didn't have the other one. Damn it. Anyways, the guy basically, Rosenbaum denies it, but he basically threatens him. He's like, threatens his law license, his career, just because he doesn't like what's going on in this case here. So that shows you, Rosenbaum's actual character. Now, where we're going to get in is, we don't want the first time statement. I want, let's go down. William Avery Jr. Okay, so William Avery Jr., he first comes in with his father, the first interview they give in 1991. His father's the first one that comes in, and I know where it is because right here it is. I thought this was weird. So he has this story, Avery Jr. While I'm looking for this, Avery Jr. has this story that Al Cleveland, he owed Al Cleveland a drug debt. Al Cleveland came and basically offered him to beat people up for his drug debt. Hold on one second. My son actually just woke up and I gotta get my daughter to watch him. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, I have children. This happens, and teens are supposed to watch, but are sleeping. Okay, so now, first time that so his story was Al Cleveland. Where was I? Al Cleveland, supposedly he owed Al Cleveland a debt. Al Cleveland said, "Oh, we have an issue with this chick. Well, not an issue with chick, but you're gonna beat people up for me, right?" So it's his original story. So he went over to the apartment of Floyd Epps, which is roommate, quotation, I guess Marsha Blakely was staying with him for a little bit. And 4 people, some of the other people also accused of the crime, ended up beating her up, right? And that in itself is questionable because, if you're beat up by 4 grown-ass men as a woman, it's going to be visible, right? Okay. Well, after he was in court and basically said I was lying, he was thrown in jail for perjury, contempt of court or perjury, one of the two. Don't quote me on it. But he was thrown, 1992, he was thrown in jail. He wanted more money, his little scheme with his dad. And he wanted more money for this case, and he then recanted his original statement. Now, after this recant, all of a sudden it was brought up that, he was at the Westgate Plaza where Marsha's body was found, and he started witnessing the murder. He didn't say he specifically saw it, but he saw the beginning stages of what looked like the beginning stages of it, okay? So, did you go see Detective Taliano? Yeah, with your dad. This is Avery Jr. Did you tell him the whole truth the first time? No. No. Why not? Because I was scared if I stated I was behind the plaza that I was going to jail too. Now, the first time he gave his testimony, said he wasn't behind it after he spent some time in jail, then he changes it. Did you tell Detective Taliano that you saw Monday later? Yeah. What did you tell Detective Taliano about that? They said we knocked the junkie B off. Now, did you get this $2,000 reward? I swear to God, you can't relate to anybody with freaking children. Did you get a $2,000 reward? Yeah. Was your father satisfied with that? No. What did your father want? He wanted $10,000. What did he say to you about getting this $10,000? He told me, don't go in there and say nothing unless they give it to you. Go and where? The courtroom. Why were people going in court? What courtroom? Why would there be a court hearing over Marsha? Do you think who was on trial at this time or not? I think it was the first one, the first trial. Yeah. Your dad told you what? What is it? So you also said Al Monday, exact words is we killed a junkie bitch, right? Al Monday, which is Al Cleveland, never said that to you, did he? Right. So listen, and that's a lie. And this is doubt questioning him eventually. Al Monday never said that to you, did he? Right. But you testified at the deposition under oath that those were his exact words, right? And you swore to God those were his exact words. I didn't swear to no God. Didn't they give you an oath before they testified? Yeah, I raised my hand. Did you swear to God, like to tell the jury the whole truth? I swore an oath. So he swore an oath, and this is Avery Jr., to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, right? Didn't mean anything back on September 26th when you took the oath. Yeah, but you lied, right? Right. Now you claim that you owed these guys $3,000 for drugs, right? So when you're in the hole with somebody for $3,000, it doesn't make any sense that they would want to give you more drugs, right? Until they got paid, right? Is that what it's a problem? No, that's never been a problem. So how did you get home in this version that you gave to the police? That was after he recanted in this court case in 92, and he was thrown in jail. And I think he was there on a burglary charge too, I'm pretty sure. The Supreme guy, the dude that you didn't know was in the car, I might have told them that. That would be a lie. Yeah, page 14. Where did you go? I went home. How did you get home? I was dropped off by Al. Who was in the car? The dude, I don't know. Does he have a nickname? I don't know. I never did know. Does he go by Supreme? Did you testify to that? Yeah, that's a lie, right? Yeah, this is Avery Jr. This is their lead witness. Then you would agree that your sworn testimony in this deposition is full of lies, right? It's got a lie. It's got a lie about Al riding the car with you, right? Him taking me home. That's a lie. Al taking you home is a lie. Yeah, Supreme being in the car with you and Al is a lie. Do you want me to go through some more lies, or would you like to agree that there's a lot of lies? No, tell me all the lies. Well, it's hard to keep track of them. Rosenbaum, object, court overruled. Would you agree? You told so many lies, it's hard to keep track of them. No. Oh, shit, I hate when it does that. Hold on. Sorry. I went forward before me going. You didn't know that you told the prosecutor under oath at a deposition that Supreme was in the car with you and Al. You didn't know that until I refreshed your memory. You had forgotten that. Yeah. Would you agree it's hard to keep track of lies? Right. Now, what time of day in your latest version do you claim that Al came over? What time? Yeah, like what time of day? It was dark, probably almost 11. 11 o'clock? So then he asked about the car they were in, okay? This is not in order. Delphina Joyce, the car that they were supposedly in, Al Cleveland and Avery Jr. They said that it was in this car. Now, this car was tested not once, not twice, not once, but twice or three times for like DNA samples, for like any kind of information to see if there's, Marshall Blakely in that car whatsoever. That car was cleared. Now, Delphina Joyce also gave, it was John or Lenworth's code. I think it was Lenworth's code to detectives to test for any blood, splatter or anything like that, because there's blood on his coat. Well, that blood ended up being Lenworth. It was Lenworth or John's coat. It was one of the two. But that ended up being his blood. And there was no other blood of Marshall Blakely or Floyd Epps found on his coat. And both had alibis. He was at the bar. It was John. He was at the bar that night. She knows you, right? She grew up with you. And then that's saying that Delphina Joyce knows Avery Jr., but she knows people that you know. Yeah, you talked to her about the case, didn't you? No, never. I don't recall. Was there a lot of talk? Was there a lot of talk on the street about this case back in August, September of 91? Yeah, a lot of talk. Then a reward was posted, right? And you knew nothing until a reward was posted. You didn't tell anybody anything about this case until a reward was posted. I don't recall if I said it before or after. You became a fountain of knowledge after the reward was posted, right? I don't know about that. A partial fountain? What do you mean a fountain? I became a witness for money. No, it wasn't for money. It wasn't for the money? No. Well, do you recall your first statement to Detective Taliano on September 11th? You said, what about the money? And he said to you, Detective Taliano, we're going to turn the tape off and talk about that. Do you recall that happening? No, I don't recall that. That might have happened though. It might have. After you turn the tape off, did you talk about the money with him and your dad and Detective Taliano? So that's a pretty simple question. I'm gonna tell you this right now. He did. And then the tape was immediately shut off after that. And then, when he had to go give his deposition, he basically told the prosecutor and them, like, I'm not giving it unless you pay us like the 10 I think it was 10 grand. And that's when they threw him in jail. Now, when they threw him in jail, nobody would deal with them. I mean, nobody was returning his calls. Not the prosecutor, not the detectives. And he was sitting there, right? He was just on his own. So, and then he goes over the money. Now the case comes to trial. Here's the subpoena. It was at the end of that one. It's the end of that one. Hold on, let me get the next one. So when he was subpoenaed, hold on, Robert Weiss, FBI, no one talked to you. Here we go. So this is the 10,000. He told me to ask you for 10,000, and would we give it to your father or you? No. Did there come, to put it mildly, a disagreement between myself, Detective Taliano, and your father? Yeah. What did you do as a result of this? I pleaded the fifth. You wouldn't testify, right? And what happened to you then? Then I was put into the county. The judge put you into the county jail. Yes. For what? Contempt of court? Yeah. For refusing to testify. Right. What happened to you at the county jail? I was put in a witness room, and while I was there, one of the guards I don't believe this, but they say one of the guards brought Edwards to my door and didn't like this. However, I have the guard saying that he never was even questioned about this by the prosecutor. So this is just a story. So to me, and did like that. And so inside the jail, inside the jail. And then what happened? And so I got to thinking, so I called. What did you get to thinking? What were you thinking? Mr. Duff overruled. This is Rosenbaum questioning him. I was thinking, man, what is it I'm doing here? So I called down home this FBI dude. Did you call the court first? Yeah. What was the purpose of calling the court? I wanted to talk to you. Would I call you back? No. Well, of course not. I wants his money. And what did you do? Who did you call next? The defense lawyer. And would he talk to you? I can't quite remember. Did you get brought back to court as a result of that? No. So after he got a hold of the FBI guy, Resendez ended up getting a hold of him. Now, this is where I want to show you so this guy is flip-flopping on a story. Can't get a story right. I mean, it just goes on and on. Can't get a story right? So, okay, you have a shaky witness, Katie. That's not everything. Now, Robert Weiss is with the Secret Service. He worked with Avery Jr. on other cases, food stamp fraud, stuff like that, where he would get paid for his services. So do you see a pattern of behavior? Avery Jr. getting paid for snitching on people. What are you employed as? The United States Secret Service, presently assigned to the Cleveland office. You are a Secret Service agent. Yes. Tell the jury what the Secret Service does. Primarily provide protection for the president, vice president, and some investigative functions such as crime involving counterfeit, currency, credit cards, food stamps violations, and money laundering. Okay. Now, this is to the reputation of Avery Jr. Do you know William Avery Jr.? Yes, I do. How is it that you know him? He was an informant in a case we had. And do you know other people in the Secret Service agency that know William Avery? Yes, I do. Do you know his reputation in that community for truthfulness and honesty? He is not used anymore by our agency because he was proven to be unreliable, untruthful. What do you mean unreliable? The particular case we're using him for, we had some problems with him. He jeopardized the safety of some agents and lied sometimes, and we discontinued using him as an informant to our agency. Were you paying him? Yes. Now, this Secret Service agent reached out to not only the detectives in this case, to Rosenbaum himself to tell you that his lead witness has no credibility. His lead witness is a known liar. And he should know that by his own personal testimony here, but that's not enough. So, Katie, is this the only person? I want to see what these say real quick. Make sure it's not. Shh, they haven't showed you. Shh. No, we read these. Al Cleveland never said he was with you. Plus. Okay. So, Avery Jr. first time plaza statement. Oh, here we go. Here's the FBI one. Okay. So, now after you came to court for contempt and back and said, I made up the whole thing for money, were you contacted by any law enforcement officials while you were at the county jail? The FBI did. He came to interview. No, I called him. And what did you tell him? I told him what happened. You told him about being in jail and being threatened, right? And then did Sergeant Resendez come see you? I think so. He came to see me at the Lorain County Jail, Resendez, and I told him about being behind the plaza. So he did not add the fact that he went with Al Cleveland in his car to the plaza until after he was charged with contempt of court, after he recanted his original statement. Now, this is their only witness against these men. Their only witness. This is what these men have served over the word of this guy. I mean, it makes me sick. Now, here's an interview. Did you ever see Al Monday after that again? Yeah. When he came over to Charlotte's house one time and he told me that he ain't got more dope. He had to go. He had to make another trip and he sent the dude Patch back to blank. But I had to go to the projects to meet him and I went back to Patricia's house. And that's where Patricia came over. Patricia knowed he came there and he gave me some more dope. I believe this is Resendez questioning him. Did Al ever make reference when you met him for more dope? Did Al ever make reference to the fact that they killed this girl? Avery, no. There was never any conversation between you and Al or you and Shaquem, which is John Edwards, or you and JR, which is Benson, that they knocked this bitch off. No. They knocked this junkie off. No. That was all false. That was all false. And I knew I couldn't place myself there because I thought if I had to place myself at the scene where she actually got cut or stabbed, that I was going to be going down with them. And I didn't want to be going to jail for life for something I didn't do. But it's okay that you sent these 4 men, Avery, to, life in jail. And so I held back and I made up the part about Al coming back to Patricia's house. So he's admitting to detectives in this interview that he's lying. Okay, and this is in 92. The fact that you added the part that Al Monday said that they knocked off the junkie off, that being false, is there anything else that's false from this whole story? No, total truth, total truth. Does anyone else know who this light-skinned guy with the gold in his mouth and has a blue or green eyes? Tamika? Tamika's seen him when she said Tamika's house. Patricia's seen that dude, the light-skinned dude, Patricia Gaddy. Yeah, they took Marsha with them. Who took Marsha with them to the car? Now, this is the original interview, 9/11. We're going back now to 91. This is his first interview. This is Avery's whole story. Who took Marsha to that car? JR, which is Benson, I believe it was. JR William, Shaquem with them too. So JR, William, Shaquem, yeah. The one I didn't know the other dude though. I only seen him that night, and then the next day on a trail bike with William. Jessica, go ahead. See what do you have to say that right now? Okay, so we got Al, Will, Shaquem, and Junior, and you, and some unknown guy. Yeah, okay. That unknown guy. If I seen his picture, it might be Supreme. I don't know. I never seen the guy in Audible. If I seen his picture, I'd know him. Before we leave, we will. Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Avery. What do you have to say to that? I remind him of things he forgot. That is Avery Jr.'s dad. Now, Avery Jr.'s dad's relevant in this because he's the first one to approach detectives in 91, about a month after the murder, after, he finds out about this award. And he says that my son has information about this murder. And then they concoct this whole scheme, right? And this is the only witness against these guys, okay? This is why this is so important. Skip that. Shh. Now, in 98, when John Edwards' appeal trial is going on, I found this really interesting. This is Rosenbaum said, I think you all have to see this. Mr. Now, Judge, because you're a fair guy, when we're doing tapes, I like transcript. If he denies some of these, I'm sure I can get them out, Detective Taliano. Mr. Rosenbaum, I have two things to say. Now, he's talking about William Avery Jr. He can answer, but he's stuck with the answer. He's locked. The major inconsistency, he's not going to deny that. The things he's going to answer. If he goes into areas that he responds, whatever the answer is, it is. The tape can't be used for whatever was not asked. It's not an inconsistency. Whether or not he can impeach this witness with Detective Taliano's letter is an issue that we'll take up later. So Rosenbaum clearly knows there's issues with this witness. The FBI knows there's issues with this witness. The Secret Service knows there's issues with this witness. But they are fucking hanging their head on this witness. Oh, I gotta see who this is. Connie Ward. Okay. I don't want to get there yet. Connie Ward, I don't want to get to yet. Okay, so that's all about Avery Jr. So Avery Jr. concocted this lie. Now, there was, I'm going to tell you the story that I believe, and then I'm going to go through some of these and show you. But first, I want to show you Leonard Walker. All right, Lenworth. No, this is Leonard Walker. Okay, we don't want to get to him yet. Hold on. Leonard Edwards' testimony. Lenworth. It's not Leonard, it's Lenworth. I kept writing Leonard. And he served 29 years in prison. Come on. Shh. My computer hates me now. Here we go. All right, so this is John Edwards, who is Shaquem, who is still in prison. He was on his way to New York the morning of the murder to get his teeth done. No association. So basically, he's telling people here he has no association. 7th morning and 8th were in Lorraine, Ohio. Yes. Did you know William Avery? Here we go. All right, so he was at the bar, right? And while he was in New York, he was calling this Gina Dalton. And he was here the night before, but he was at the bar with his girlfriend and his girlfriend's mother, which is Patricia Brown. And it was Andrea Pastor is, I think, her mother's name. Pretty sure, Andrea Pastor. But he was with multiple people till well after 2 a.m. Then they go back to Patricia Brown and Andrea Pastor's house, the mother-in-law of the girlfriend's house. They get in a fight. He's on the phone with Gina Dalton after the bar, which is some girl that he was hitting on that he was talking about. And right here you can see that he's getting blamed for the murders. And, you know, when I was talking to Gina, she was telling me about it. And I was like, I was in New York. You know where I'm at, right? Because I ran out of change, right? And the operator came on and deposited more change. Now, he was trying to get a hold of her phone bill to prove that they were talking like, wow, they were in New York. But John Edwards says, I was in New York, fully away, okay? Now, John Edwards also said, yeah, I was a drug dealer, right? I sold drugs, but I didn't deal with, you guys want to act like this chick owed me money. I didn't deal with like crackheads. I didn't deal with like the lower level dealers. I was a guy that came in and kind of just, you know, had my people, and I didn't deal with like, you know, dime nickel bags, this, that, and other thing. It was basically like a wholesale distributor pretty much. Now, what I found interesting in this case is that Rosenbaum tried to like kind of use the fact that he got charged in South Carolina for this kind of like RICO drug thing where people were killed for owing money. He tried to use that against him, even though John Edwards was not charged with that in this whole racketeering conspiracy thing. And he kind of hangs his head on it. Now, Lenworth Edwards was also at the time, hold on, let me find this. John Edwards, Jeremiah. Here, original police report, I think it's in here. These aren't all of them. Okay, so here, look at, pops right up. Lenworth Edwards stated on Friday, August 19th, that he flew out of the Cleveland Hopkins Airport to Queens, New York, where he remained until Saturday, August 11th. He stated his purpose in going to his home in Queens, New York, was to visit his girlfriend. She reportedly was not at home, and he returned to Lorraine the next day, Saturday, August 10th. He stated that Diane drove him to Midway Mall in Elyria on Thursday at 8 to purchase an airplane ticket. So Edwards stated that he would not answer the questions regarding the source of the income required to live, his lifestyle during this period. Edwards indicated that between Saturday, August 10th and Wednesday, August 14th, he remained at that chick's residence, right? And then that's the coat that chick like gave him, gave the police, and she also let him search their car. No blood was found, no evidence was found. The coat was found to be Lenworth's actual blood himself. So there was no blood from, you know, slicing somebody's neck. You're going to get blood on your clothes. There's no blood on Marshall's blood was never found on his clothes. There's no DNA evidence, you know, linking him to that murder. Edwards indicated that the only source of information regarding the murders of Epps so the detectives put these two murders together, and Blakely was the street in the newspapers. He stated that these sources indicated that people responsible for the murders were either from New York, Detroit, or Michigan. Well, because, and I found this really interesting, the boyfriend of Marsha Blakely, okay, originally in his statement, which I don't have here, it's going to be on my website, it's in my iPad, I just haven't transferred over those photos yet. He originally stated that Marsha, that these guys were involved. Muncie, I think it's Muncie Williams, something like that. Muncie Williams, but Marsha Blakely's boyfriend brought up these guys before anybody was talking about them in his interview to police, which I found really interesting, because it's like, oh, don't look at me, look over here, right? So when I said there's no tire marks on her, Dr. Thomas, there were no apparent signs of tire tracks on Blakely's body, the contusion on the left side of the face and lip and earlobe, right? Because they said she was ran over. Oh, that's huge. I gotta keep that one. Who's this? Shh. Now, here's the blood spatters from jacket. Blood spatters from the jacket located on the jacket of the suspect. One matched the blood sample recovered from his person pursuant to the search warrant chronicled. The victim's blood was not identified on the jacket. It was not identified as persons. Results appeared to eliminate Lenworth. Now although this test result appeared to eliminate Lenworth Edwards as a suspect on that date, subsequent information indicated the significance of that lamp finding, which they never really said. Allegedly that he bled on his jacket as a result of a nosebleed, which he told detectives from the beginning. So Lenworth, one of them, and Lenworth Edwards and John Edwards are not related. They just have the same last name, coincidentally. Okay, so this is the Avery thing. I need to go through that. The daddy got a hold of him. Now, Alfred Cleveland. Now, when Alfred Cleveland was in New York at the time of the murders, but when he found out that they were accusing him of the murders, Al Monday was at a phone number in Jamaica, Queens section, New York, contacted for pertinent information, Jamaica Drug Task Force in Queens. Urgent to serve fax copy. Hold on. Fugitive Squad. Familiar with Alma agreed to attempt to locate him. Shh. No. Brown, John Edwards' girlfriend, who he was at the bar with the night of the murders until 2 a.m. Okay, and Marsha was killed at coroner said anywhere between, it was like 2 and 4 or something like that. I think it was closer to 2, just based on some other accounts. He was at the bar with his girlfriend, then he was on the phone with Gina Dalton, so he wasn't there, and he has multiple people saying that they were with him. Now, Avery Jr., I didn't tell you guys this before, but he failed a polygraph test. Now, they say it was lack of information, but you don't know that from a polygraph test. Polygraph test, they ask you yes or no questions. They don't ask you, like, are you withholding something? Oh, yeah, that I'm lying about this entire case. Now, Benson Davis provided the following information. Reportedly, the suspect traveled to Cleveland, Ohio area as a stagehand for Run DMC rap group in early August of 91. Davis stated that he flew from Cleveland Airport on the day of the murders. He refused to provide the name of the airline. Davis indicated that he returned to Lorain, Ohio area sometime after the date of the murders. Davis indicated that he took up temporary residence with several females in the city. Suspects say that he was transported throughout the immediate Lorain, Ohio area. Detective Rodner and Carey recalled arresting Lenworth Edwards on Wednesday, August 14th, which is about a week after the murders. No, 3 days. 3 days. While occupying a red silver temporary registration. Benson Davis was in the same vehicle on the date that Lenworth Edwards was arrested. They knew each other. They were staying at that Judas's house, whatever. Davis stated that he knew Al Monday, Alfred Cleveland from New York neighborhood. The suspect, however, denied contact with the subject in the Lorain, Ohio community. So basically, Al Cleveland and Benson Davis saying, like, yeah, I know who the guy is from up here, but we're not even connected. We're just from the same area, you know. He also said Shaquem, which is John Edwards, indicated that he was aware that Shaquem and Patricia Brown had a child. And Davis stated that he made aware that Brown and Shaquem's relationship while he cohabitated with Patricia Brown. So Benson knew Shaquem, which is John Edwards, from John Edwards having a child with Brown, and apparently Benson having some kind of relationship with Brown as well. But they weren't like a group running around together, okay? I do know John Edwards was in and out of this. Davis stated during the period of time he resided in Lorain, Ohio, he lived with several females residents. Davis identified them as Delphine Guice is the girl with the car that got searched with nothing popping up, Patricia Brown, Michelle Brooks, okay? So basically, these guys weren't in town. That's my tell to you. Now, I want to talk about the night of the murder and what I believe, my theory on what happened, just based on testimonies and stuff that I have read. And I'm going to quickly go through it, and you guys can go to my website to find more. Okay, so there was a woman who gave testimony, Mary Jane Gonzalez, okay? She worked at the shop and play. She was a clerk. She saw Blakely at her apartment on 8/7, which is the night of the murder, 91. Now, she said it was around 11:30 p.m. It could be later. People, when they, like, recall information, you don't really know, what was going on. But she says when she saw, I'm just reading my notes, when she saw Marsha Blakely. Her eye was black, discolored, and she told Gonzalez she was beat up by an unknown person, debt related. And then I'm like, well, who could be this unknown person that she was beat up by, right? This is where I'm going to show you guys. We're going to quickly go through this. I'm not going to drag you through. Where's Charlton? Charlton. There is a boy named Marsha was looking for some dope, okay? And Charlton. Marsha was looking for some dope. She had no money. She needed dope, right? So she got a hold of this guy, Jeremiah Charlton, who was a low-level, well, not low-level, but mid drug dealer in Lorraine, okay? Because Marsha was a crackhead. And I don't say that meanly. That's just her lifestyle, whatever. So he was interviewed. Hold on one second. It's my husband. I gotta answer this. Hold on. Hey, I'm on a live. Can I call you back? All right, love you, bye. Sorry, just make sure it's not an emergency. Back in 1991, August specifically, did you have occasion to see Marsha Blakely? Yes, I did. Now, this is Jeremiah Charlton. August 7th, August 8th, I point to that date and do you recall? On the night before Marsha died, that August 7th, now that's the night of, because you're in between two dates, right? It's the night of August 7th, but the early mornings of August 8th is when she died. So it's within that 12-hour time frame. Do you follow me? Yes. Did you see Marsha? Yes, I did. What time? About 11:30, quarter to 12. So that's what I'm thinking. This Mary Jane Gonzalez saw her after 11:30. Where at? Well, they called Levitt Home Apartments, which is right off of 21st Street and 58. It's the projects over there. They call them the projects, but it's not the projects, but they call them it is the projects, but they call them the projects. They still to this day call them the projects. Do you reside in that area at this time? No, I did not. What were you doing over there? I would like to answer the question, but I would like to request immunity for anything I had to say. Were you selling drugs? I would like to answer the question, but you want immunity. Were you in the projects that night? Yes, I was. Have you ever sold drugs, sir? You don't want to answer that. I don't want to answer that question. Okay. You saw Marsha that night, right? Yes, I did. Tell us under what circumstance. Marsha was looking for a 20 piece of crack cocaine. So what did you do? Did you talk to her? I told Marsha if she went over to Bradley's house, I'd meet her over the house later and we could work out some deal. Who is Bradley? A friend who lives over there, Richardson. So she went over to this Bradley Richardson's house around, and people's timings are always off, but he says around 11:30, 12, whatever. I took Marsha back to the car, a four-door. So he goes back over there in a little bit. He takes Marsha back to this four-door red Chevette, and the passenger got out of the car and moved to the back seat. Marsha got in the passenger seat. I received something from the driver. What time did this happen? About 5 minutes after they told me they was looking for a goodo. About what time was this? 10 minutes to 12. Then Marsha asked me, was I sure they were cool? And I said, yeah, go ahead with them. I shut the door and I went over to a friend of mine's, Kevin Loster's house, and did something else. Did you ever give this information to the police? Yes, I did. Tell us when. I would say it's about a week after the incident because he got hemmed up on drug charges and he wanted to, use this information to help him get out of those charges, help him get reduced on the charges, whatever. So, hold on. So, how does Rosenbaum respond to this? So you're a pimp. He doesn't care the fact that he saw him. This is the Rosenbaum's prosecutor, by the way. He's not care the fact that Charlton saw Marsha Blakely and didn't see Marsha Blakely like his witness claimed around the same time because he said it was 11 o'clock, right? Avery Jr. said 11 o'clock. Well, after that, Jeremiah Charlton saying that he saw her in the projects looking for crack. And he sent her with a car with White Boy Jeff. According to them, White Boy Jeff, they put her in a car and said, go do your services and here's get some money for some $20 bag that you need. Well, then her friend tells police later, Mary Jane Gonzalez, who worked at the shop and played clerk, saw Blakely at Gonzalez's apartment the night of 8/7/91. Now she couldn't say exactly like when she saw her, but she says between 11:30 and 12:30 I'm thinking it's after she went with, just based on my timelines of stuff, after she went with old boy to do her dirt. I think she got a little roughed up in that situation, which is why Gonzalez is saying that, she was a little beat up. Or my other theory is she saw her before she went and met with Charlton looking for money to go buy crack, because Gonzalez refused to give Blakely money, and she left with a black male with short hair, darker complexion. On 8/9/91, what I found really interesting is after Mary Jane Gonzalez talked to Captain Rivera about this, that car the next day was creeping by her apartment. And she was so spooked by it, she called Rivera to tell her, this car that I told you about was creeping by my apartment the next day, which is really weird, right? Well, and then I found it really interesting that Marie Jane Gonzalez said, Marsha's beat up. She was looking for money. She left in this car. That car could have been Charlton. That car could have been the white boy Jeff that she went and did a trick for. It's all around the same time, so it's a little sketchy. But this is my biggest takeaway. Gonzalez told Rivera to question or contact her boyfriend, Willie Muncie. Now, Marsha was stabbed multiple times. Her throat was slit. We know that, right? She was beat up, but that could have been from previous stuff that went on the night before. So she's beat up. Then her murder, she was stabbed. Now, stabbing, when you always watch true crime, stuff like that, that's a really personal murder. You have some personal issues with this person, right? So I go to the Willie, and I don't have it in front of me because I don't want to dig through all those things. So Willie Muncie. William Muncie says that around 2 a.m, his original testimony, around 2 a.m, he sees Marsha Blakely walking by his mom's house in the projects towards Epps' apartment, where she was staying at, right? And he stopped her. Well, how did he stop her? He only took her purse. He said he grabbed her purse because he didn't want her to continue to go without him. So he grabbed her purse and she stopped and waited for him. Well, according to William Muncie's story, his bike broke, his bike chain broke on the way, this 1.5 mile walk. His bike chain broke and he had to fix it. Well, apparently while he was fixing it, he ran into an individual named Walker, that Walker I was telling you about, right? And that Marsha went on towards her apartment by herself. Well, Marsha never made it to her apartment, apparently. Between that short walk from her boyfriend's house to Epps' house, which is, if you've ever been by the projects, it's not a far distance, couple miles, right? And he, though, runs into this guy, Leonard. I don't want to show you this one. Leonard Walker. And this is where shit just gets weird. Now, when Marsha Blakely's body is found, she has one shoe. Can you guess where the other shoe is found? And I'm not a, trained detective, but the other shoe is found at her house, okay? So, Leonard Walker, directing your attention to August 7th, August 8th. Did you have an occasion to go over to his house that night? Which is talking about Epps. Yes, I did. What time did you arrive there? Between 12 and 1. Was anybody there when you got there? No. What did you do when you got there? Me and a friend, Mr. Muncie, knocked on the door. Who is Muncie? William Muncie Jr. is related to Marsha Blakely. It's her boyfriend. Did she have any children by him? I think one. Was he there when you arrived? No, he was on a bike. So I think it was later than 12, 1 o'clock. I think it was 2, 3 o'clock, right? 2, 3 a.m. that he arrived. Only people's time frames here are perfectly right, but it kind of makes sense. Because Muncie said it was 2 a.m. He was very specific. He said 2 a.m. He said no, he was on a bike and he asked if I had seen Marsha. Well, why would he ask if you've seen Marsha if he was just with Marsha? What did you tell him? I said, I haven't seen her, but I was going that way, so we went together. So he was just walking with Marcia, according to his testimony. So why did you think you would find Marcia? I wasn't looking for her. I was just going that way. I told him I would go with them. Tell us what happened. We went over to his house. We knocked on the door. It opened. We went in. We looked around the house and see nobody was there. We went in and saw nobody there, and we went and sat outside because we figured if any of the Epps people came while we were there, they would wonder why we were there. You went outside and sat on the couch. That was outside. Where is that at? From here to the corner where the deputy is? Yeah. What did you do on that couch? We just sat there and drank and talked. Who is we? Me and Mr. Muncie. How long did you stay? Until almost daybreak. You drank until sunrise. That's when we figured we would leave because nobody came to the apartment. So if you're looking for your girlfriend said you were walking with her. Your girlfriend said she was on her way to an apartment, and you weren't that far behind because your chain broke. You run into this guy who said that she wasn't there, that when he was on his way past, but he'll go with you back. Yeah, no, none of this is making sense. I take it you had been in the apartment before. Yes, I was there the night before with them drinking. Did Willie have a problem with his table leg as far as I know? Well, the table was knocked over. So he's like being alcoholic. His shit came loose. Shit was on the side. Now. Okay. His shoe. Okay. So I think it was the same two officers to Taliana. I'm not sure if it was Resendez. Taliana was there. Resendez was in and out of this case. His shoes were there by the bed, and one of her shoes was by the door. So Marcia Blakely had one shoe on the murder scene, and the other one was missing. Well, the other missing shoe was at the house. And it looked like he had been drinking and walked out, went to the store or something. We were not expecting any foul play. So, according to Avery Jr., there's a huge fight, and she got her ass beat in that apartment by 4 grown men. But these guys are saying there was no foul play. There's another question, Mr. Prosecutor. It didn't look like a fight had occurred there. No, not at all. Did you see any blood? No. Did you clean up any blood? No. Did you clean the apartment at all? No. Were you there between the hours of midnight or 1 o'clock until sunrise? Yes. Did you tell the police yet? Yes, I did. Tell us about Floyd Epps' apartment. What people do there. They drink. It was just a gathering place. He said he did stop there sometimes. He worked at the Ford plant, so he wasn't always around. Rosenbaum. Were you drunk that night? Oh, I had been drinking, but I wasn't drunk. So, can you tell this jury whether or not a fight occurred in that apartment? No, I can't. You weren't looking for any signs of a fight when you were there? No. You say one of Marcia's shoes was by the door. The television set was on. The table leg was slanted. And you left around sunrise. Yep, sunrise would be about what time on August 8th in the morning? 6:30, maybe a little earlier. No, it was daylight. It was daylight when you left. So you left around 6 a.m. and you have no idea what happened in the apartment until the police arrived at noon. All right. And he says no, basically. And he said he was there with Muncie, the boyfriend. Okay? Now, this is what I found really interesting. Is the following additional information should be noted regarding the retention of evidence in this investigation as noted within the interview of Willie Muncie, which is Muncie, Muncie, on Thursday, August 8th, 1991, while Blakely attempted to walk west on West 23rd, he grabbed and retained her purse. That's at 2 a.m. I was telling you about. Muncie explained that he later transported the purse to the apartment of Floyd Epps while attempting to locate Blakely at that location. Well, if she's walking on West 23rd towards the apartment, it's not that far, and you have to fix your bike chain. Lenworth Walker was already there. He didn't see Blakely, but you were fixing your bike chain. You run into him, and then you go back and drink with him the rest of the night. Her shoes there. You have her purse. Muncie advised that the right of the purse was empty with the exception of the purse containing a partial pack of Newport, and her cigarettes are in there. Crackhead not wanting her cigarettes. Do you guys see where I'm going with this? It's not making sense. The boyfriend story is not making any sense at all in this case. He's saying that he saw Marsha around 2 a.m. walking home, okay? His bike chain breaks. She continues to walk. The projects are a very, very small area, okay? So I could get all around the projects walking in 10 minutes, you know, from the beginning to the end. So he sees her walking, right? He stops her by taking her purse. Now, when his bike chain breaks and he has to stop and fix his bike chain, according to William Mincy's story, he keeps her purse. So, you all, I mean, women in their purses. No man is keeping my purse from me, especially with my smokes in it. I'm a smoker, so especially with my smokes in it. Then Marsha's not seen at all. The boyfriend's maybe mad at her. It's a very personal murder. And then they're hanging out at Epps' apartment and the rest of the day drinking, smoking, doing whatever. It's a little weird. It's a little weird. And Mitzi William was the first person to bring up. My internet's going out. Hold on a second. Was the first person to bring up the fact that these guys from New York were around. And he specifically names Lenworth. He names Al Cleveland, you know, and all of that. And he wasn't very happy about Marsha, you know, running around and doing what she was doing. He thought that she needed to be home to take care of her kids, their child. He's pretty pissed off at her. I bet he was mad at Epps too. But then he still has her purse. Her shoes, her one shoe that's missing from the apartment is at the apartment. Why didn't the prosecutor look into him more? I feel like it's more plausible. My theory is the boyfriend did it. With someone else who was driving a gold brown beat up rust bucket. That's just my theory. It's my guess. And just by the 1,000 pages that I read, because as soon as I heard he had her purse, the shoe was at the apartment, her throat was slit. I mean, that's personal. To cut somebody's throat from left to right, 15-centimeter blade, same blade. Cleveland was in New York. John Edwards was on his way to New York to get his teeth done. Was at a bar the night before. Lenworth Edwards at a bar the night before. There's nobody putting them besides Avery Jr., a crackhead looking for money, who is known liar, who recanted his statement until he was thrown in jail for contempt of court. I mean, you guys, this is just... And Floyd Epps' murder's still open case. Now, that was just me going through real quick what my little theory is here based on my research. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys. And then Jeremiah Charlton basically saying, he saw William Avery in jail, later. I'm not going to show you the testimony right now, but from what I read, he said that he saw, he was in prison for robbery and felony assault, and he knows William Avery, and he saw William Avery there, and he told William Avery to recant and the truth, because he knows that he saw Mariana. He saw her get into white boy car and to go prosecute. And after that, her boyfriend says that he saw her walking down the road till his bike chain broke, and then she just continued and then never ended up at her apartment. And he was never looked into. And then the boyfriend gave them these 4 individuals' names originally. Well, why do people say it was probably these people to deflect off that? And then this Leonard Walker just so happened to be friends with Epps, who worked at the Ford plant, and was going over there to drink with them. He wasn't there that night because he already been hit by a car and his throat slit. Gonzalez said she saw her and she got into a car, a beat up tan car after already looking beat up, probably from the trick she pulled right before then, looking for money. And when she was denied money, she left with those guys. But after the fact, and I'm saying the last person to see her was the boyfriend. And the boyfriend's at the time, in the testimony, I'm not positive about this, a stepfather who said he was taking out the trash at night and saw her walking down the street by herself. Maybe covering for her stepson. This crime personal. Her murder was personal, and she deserves justice. And Floyd Epps deserves justice. And these men who have been convicted and maybe were guilty of dealing drugs in the 90s during the crack epidemic in Lorraine from North, you're guilty of that. That doesn't mean, that's okay that they sat in prison for 30 years because they sold drugs in Lorraine County during, drug epidemic that has been ongoing. It's not crack, it's heroin, something else. You know what I mean? That's not murder. And none of these men were really associated. They knew of each other. They were from the same area, but that doesn't mean they were associated with each other. I implore you guys to get a hold of the judges in this case. I'm going to write a letter tonight. I have it drafted. I just haven't been able to finish it. To those judges, I'm going to be sending them to the secretaries, to the criminal cases secretaries. I will put a template up for you guys. The site will be open later tonight. I will look tomorrow morning. But I'm going to show you guys real quick. If you guys go to my website, which is meanstreetnews.com, you guys are going to see, oh shit, you're going to go down to Lorraine County Files, right? And you're going to see this new link. It's called the Ohio 4. Now, you're not going to see anything right now because I haven't published it. Like I said, I will publish it tonight, but you will see all the episodes on here. And then you're going to see a photo gallery kind of like this one. That is of all of the testimony that I have gone through with the people and the little just excerpt on who they are. And you guys will be able to go through and read this testimony yourself. I'm also going to put all the PDFs up there. And I'm going to put the templates up there for you guys to get a hold of Roth, Gary, Ewers, and Maraldi, and tell them to move on this motion to reopen this case. When people say, why isn't, Tomlinson done something yet? In the meantime, hold on one second before I get there. The Ohio, I think it's Free the Ohio 4, Free the Ohio 4. This is it. No. Okay, so you can also go to Free the Ohio 4 number right here .com. Make sure you guys are seeing this. Now here's the statement vacating the convictions. You can see here from December 2nd. Okay. And that will be in some. And then you can contact the prosecutor. And then there's the exhibits and the evidence that'll be on my site as well. And then also what Al Cleveland's organization is Voices for Injustice, I believe. Hold on. I'll make sure I get this right. Voices for Injustice. Probably shouldn't. Here we go. No, it's the Salem witch trials, wrong ones. Here we go. Voicesofinjustice.com. This is Al Cleveland's organization. He served 27 years. He is part of the Ohio 4, but they got some stuff going on, which I like, and I wanted to put you onto that. If you go to YouTube and you go to Mean Street News, you're going to be able to watch the entire rally in itself. And let's go here. Mean Street News 1. So that's my username at Mean Street News 1. Like I said, I will have everything up tonight and that published tonight. I've been working really hard on it, getting it done. I know this episode today was a little bit longer than I usually like to do, but I wanted to give you as much information as possible. The news sucks at kind of giving you guys like actual evidence, the actual facts, and they like to put their little op-ed pieces. I'm gonna stay on this. I'm going to stay on this. As of right now, I am no more podcasts will be done with this. All the podcasts will be uploaded today on this case though for the last 3 episodes. I think I'm 3 episodes behind. Because when I'm finished, I'm gonna upload them all. But yeah, go on Mean Street News either tonight or tomorrow. Get the template. Oh, that's what I wanted to show you. One last thing. This is my squirrel brain. Lorraine County comment, please. Judges. Here we go. Now, if you go to this site, right? Raymond Earers, we're gonna go here, and you guys want to write them yourselves about this case. I would get a hold of Deborah McKeel. Here's her email right here, D McKeel at Lorraine County, Lorraine Comment, please. Moraldi, James. I'm pretty James Moraldi has it. And the view down, you'll see his staff contact information, and then if you go to Roth Gary, his contact information, and here's his secretary, criminal secretary. Get a hold of her too. Email that right there. Free the Ohio 4. I'm a taxpayer. I think you need to look into this. But like I said, tonight I will have a template for you to actually just, copy, paste in an email. It'll be real easy for you. But this injustice needs to be, this wrong needs to be righted. And, I think we as citizens of the county need to start, paying attention to what our prosecutors are doing and what cases are, being overlooked. Also, we're going to get a hold of the Ohio Attorney General, Dave Yost, and tell him to back off. For if he's so concerned about Marsha Blakely family and justice, then he should be very eager to exonerate these men if he's actually even looked at the evidence. Anybody that has a brain that has looked at the evidence. I really find it irritating that he likes to get involved in this stuff to help his friends, yet he cannot look at actual public corruption that's going on in a sheriff that is acting out of his authority to go after duly elected persons. It's not just JD. JD, and this is why I covered this case, got railroaded with this case because of what happened with Battistille, because he wouldn't assign a special prosecutor to the sheriff to investigate other elected officials. Then they started to investigate him. And that's how it goes here in Lorraine County lately. But that is going to stop. We got some stuff coming. We're just going to say that. Don't think I'm done with any of you. I am not. And I'm not done with this. I'm going in the background to do my thing. I might not be on a podcast about it, but it's going to be on my website, the Ohio 4. Go to Lorraine County Files. You're going to see all of the evidence that I've gone over, pictures, so it'll just be kind of easier for you to see. You're going to see. And I just like to give you guys the facts and you come up with it. I told you what my theory was. I think it was the boyfriend. I think the boyfriend killed her. That's just my theory on what I've read and timelines and all of this. Nothing else is making sense. No offense for bigger drug dealers, and I mean bigger in the scheme of like weight. are not going to kill a crackhead over a $20 sack of crack. You're like, it's not a thing. It's just not a thing. But I think maybe people were stepping on some toes and it was easy to get rid of them and then deflect. And it was all these guys from these badasses from New York. And I think they were a pain in the ass anyway. So they were just an easy target. And that's not right. So you all stay focused, Lorraine County. We're going to get this shit done. Get on the website tomorrow morning. Merry Christmas to all of you. I hope you all enjoy your families. And I will see you the day after Christmas to talk about the Tomlinson timeline. And I'm going to put it all together for you on what these corrupt assholes did out here and how they interfered with an election. And we're going to talk about after that, before we get back to my RICO and my radio investigation, we're going to talk about a law director in Elyria who is shady as fuck and decided to help these individuals do what they needed to do to go after the prosecutor. So it's been fun. You guys stay focused. And if you need anything, reach out to me. My email, I'm actually going to put it up real quick. We're going to do this. Katie at Mean Street OH is done because I'm going to do a new one at meanstreetnews.com. But until then, if you want to get a hold of me and you just want to email me, you can find me at kbuyer21@me.com to get a hold of me and send me an email, send me your thoughts. Make sure you get on my website though, like, share, subscribe. And that's the biggest support I need. And you guys enjoy your holiday. But at the same time, think about, how many Christmases did these men go without, spending it with their families? How are they still being, affected by everything going on? And say a prayer for these men. And say a prayer for that, Marsha Blakely and Floyd Epps, whose murder has been open for over 30 years, actually gets justice. And that's all we can hope in the new year. And the pressure, just keep the pressure on, because I will. Thank you. Thank you for joining me today on Mean Street. I hope you enjoyed the show. I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider supporting our work and supporting my effort. You can support directly underneath at the Spotify donations, or you can directly give a donation at paypal.me/meanstreetohio. Any donation received will help me continue to provide news to you and everyone else across Ohio and beyond. I love what I do, and I just hope to continue to do it. Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me today.
That much of a crime, and that people were so up in arms about it. Why are they now considering dismissing it? And I think that it puts the lie to the notion that this was really something that we wanted to make an example out of, and you can't engage in this type of conduct. What conduct? It was obviously politically motivated. And, and it happens all over the country. It happens all over the country on both sides of the aisle, though. I have a case right now that, and for me to be able to say this is probably, I had to think, is this the craziest fucking case I've had? And it has to be. It has to be. Because the DA that is sitting in judgment of whether or not these four men that I'm going to tell you about in a moment, right before the election, for him to become DA, gets indicted. He gets indicted for allegedly harassing a former employee and then trying to bribe her not to file a complaint against him, something like that, right before the election. And all of a sudden, he is now embroiled in this. He loses the election a couple of weeks ago, and he is now finds himself according to him, wrongfully accused of a crime he didn't commit. Well, my client is a guy by the name of John Edwards, and there were 4 guys. This is in Lorain, Ohio, Lorain County, Ohio. It's John Edwards, Lenworth Edwards, Benson Davis, and a guy named Al Cleveland, New York guys in the early 90s who were selling drugs in Ohio. They were going back and forth from Ohio to New York. And one morning, a man by the name of Epps is found dead in the street. His roommate is found about 7 hours later, a woman named Marsha Blakely, dumped in an alley behind a shopping center. The case is cold for a month. The police have hit dead ends. They have nowhere to go with the case. The prosecutor's office offers a $2,000 reward for anyone with information about the case. Wouldn't you know that the next day, a man by the name of William Avery Sr. walks in to the Lorain County prosecutor's office. They sit him down with the police, and he says, I have information about the case. Now, this guy, William Avery Sr., was a known informant. The police knew him. He had come and tried to give information about other cases, didn't pan out. He was also a drug addict. And they sit with him for over an hour, and they say to him, everything you're telling us has been in the papers. So you're not giving us anything new here. He shows up the next day with his son, William Avery Jr., and he says he witnessed the murder. So William Avery Jr. talks to the police. At the end of that interview, he goes, what about the reward money? And the officer says, let's turn the tape recorder off and let's talk about that. They tell him, we're not giving you the reward money because now you're telling us that information that's been in the papers. And all you're telling us is that you saw Marsha Blakely assaulted in an apartment. You're not telling us anything about the murder. The very next day, he shows up and says that Al Cleveland told him that he murdered Marsha Blakely. So let's put a bookmark in it because I decided I wanted to do something a little bit different today. At the end of the episode, I'm going to give you a Twitter account. I've submitted today a 40-page submission. All of the exhibits that are mentioned in that submission to the Lorain County prosecutor. His name is J.D. Tomlinson. So now I'm going to invite the public. Before you go writing a letter to him or calling him, you read the submission and look at the exhibits yourself. Because what often happens is that in these reinvestigations, prosecutors' offices have something called a conviction integrity unit, where they say they'll reinvestigate the case. And the very first thing they make you do is sign a no media agreement, that you won't go to the media, because the last thing they want you to do is what I just did. It's to talk about the case publicly. So we're not in a conviction integrity unit. We're trying to appeal to a prosecutor, J.D. Tomlinson, who, from what I